the day today?
It's the 4th.
Oh, okay.
It's the 4th.
Yeah, I heard you.
It's May the 4th.
What's wrong?
It's May the 4th! It's May the 4th. We gotta get a video out.
But we're not supposed to release till the 25th.
But it's May the 4th.
Do you know what he's talking about? How do we even drink in that?
What's up, awesome geeks? Welcome to the Smugglers Room. I'm Brian Thompson, and today we're celebrating the unofficial Star Wars holiday, May the 4th. Now, I wanted to introduce you to our astromech droid, Lefty, and we can't find him. If I know him, he's in some droid-approved cantina with a 24-pack of Pennzoil, 10W30, and probably an antifreeze chaser. Now, if you lost your droid, you need to call your droid. And the only way I know how to do that is to build a droid collar.
What in the name of Blue Java is a droid collar? Guess I could Google it.
You don't know what a droid collar is, do you? That's okay. Most people don't. But if you'll allow me, let me lay down a little geekication for you. And now it's time for some geekication. In May of 1977, a little-known film by the name of Star Wars: A New Hope was released. Among all the wonderful spectacle and props in this film was the small, obscure droid collar. This device was fashioned from a cobalt flash unit that was manufactured in Germany in the 1950s by a company called the Cobalt Camera Equipment Company. Additionally, the Linhof Company, also in Germany, along with the Leitz Wetzlar Company, produced similar flash units that have also been used to replicate this prop in some form or fashion. It was then thrust into the film into the hands of the disgusting little creatures, the Jawas, and of course, as a belt accessory, to your favorite smuggler and mine, Han Solo. Most noticeably here by Luke Skywalker, who after a tough day of not going to the Tashi station and not getting his power converters, activates the droid collar and scares the ever-living grease out of C-3PO, who was doing Jawa knows what behind that land speeder. And now you have received your geekication. In true Smugglers Room fashion, we're not going for screen accuracy here with this build. Aside from not having a cobalt flash and using something else, in general, my builds and the concept behind the Smugglers Room is to take inspiration from our favorite films, put a spin on it, and make it custom. Today's going to be no different. So let's grab some parts, some tools, our flash gun, and let's get to work. Okay, so let's talk about the parts and pieces we have. First, we have the flash unit, of course, and then we have a couple of items that we're going to use to mount on the side, because the flash gun in the movie actually has a couple of little protrusions. So the first thing is this hex nut. It's got kind of a nice rivet on the side. It's not super recognizable. And then a little knob from a camera that I found. And it has a little nut on the back, and we can mount that inside here. Next we have a clip. We're going to put this on there so we have a way to clip it to our belt. And then I'll explain what this little guy is here in a second. Outside of that, I've got a little bit of electronics here. You could totally build this as static, and you don't have to go this far with it, but if you wanted it to make sound, you could go this route. So we have a 9-volt battery, a button, a buzzer, and then the power connection for the 9-volt. It's a really simple circuit. I'll show you how it works. This thing makes a really high, annoying beeping sound, and it gives it a little bit of interaction. Okay, let's take this thing apart. First thing I want to do is take this off. The inside had a cradle that held a spot for batteries so that it could fire the bulb. I took it out and cleaned it out because it was really corroded. The top of this comes off, and I don't want to use this for the prop, but don't throw this away because it could be something used for later. Now I'm left with basically this design, and we're really close. However, I want to do something with either the edge or the inside, and that's where this came into play. This is just a piece of turned aluminum that I had lying around because I literally throw nothing away. All little parts and pieces, plastic, metal, or otherwise, I keep because this actually fits almost perfectly in this space. and it adds a little bit more interest than just an open chasm. I do want to recess it down there a little bit further than what I'm doing here with my hand, but I need something in the base of this that this can glue to or mount to so that it's recessed down inside a little ways. I think what we'll use is a wooden dowel. So the first thing let's do is let's cut that wooden dowel and see if that works. Okay, so we got our little 1/2-inch piece of wooden dowel. I'm just going to drop that in there, and we're going to set this on there, and I think that's going to work great. It's recessed just enough that it adds a little interest. It's not as boring as it was before, so we're getting there. Next, a super easy thing to do. Let's pop this off, and let's put the clip on there. This just so happens to fit perfectly in this slot, just like that. It's super tight. It can't come off there really easily. I don't even think I'll have to mess with the screws in there. So now that part's done. All right, next we need to do is we need to modify this top piece so that we can put at least this little knob, I think, on the outside of this top piece. So let's clamp this down and we'll drill a hole in that. Okay, so we've got our hole drilled. So let's go ahead and put a little screw in place there. I can balance it on my finger enough. And there we go. Now we got the screw on there. Now the question is, where do we want this other one? I'm thinking the button should go here in line with that. So I think we'll put this one on this side. So we'll drill that out real quick. All right, so we got the other hole drilled for our hex nut. Now, one thing I did do off camera is use a hacksaw to cut the length of this nut down. The reason being is, once it goes in here, if it's as long as it was, I won't have room for the battery or the electronics to slide down in there. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to glue the little piece of wooden dowel down at the bottom, and then we need to glue our little transmitter, as I'm calling it, to the top. I'm going to use a 2-part epoxy. This works for wood, metal, a whole bunch of different stuff, plastics as well. It's a 1-to-1 mix. I'm going to just mix a little bit up inside this. Wear your rubber gloves so that you don't get this stuff on you. The fumes are kind of bad. I'm in a ventilated area. If you're not, make sure you're in a ventilated area or you're wearing a mask. So here we go. Let's just mix a little bit of this up. That's plenty. This is 5-minute stuff, so you don't have a ton of time to work with it. And then what you want to do is just make sure that it gets completely mixed together so that you get that chemical reaction. All right. I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom here. And then since it has a little mix time, I can just move that around until I get it right about where I want. All right, and now we'll take a bit of this and slather it on the bottom here. Just set it down in there. Make sure it's where we want it. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, everyone, the next step in our project is the electronics. Now, this is optional, but if you want your project to have a little interaction, this would be a good way to do it. What we have is a very simple circuit with simple components. There's a buzzer, a battery, and the connection, right? The buzzer beeps as current flows through it, and what we're doing is we're interrupting that current flow with the switch. So the negative lead off of the buzzer passes directly through to the battery. The positive lead is interrupted by this momentary button, meaning that when I press the button, it allows current through, and when I let go, it stops it. You'll notice I've just kind of looped this around this terminal to demonstrate the way that this is wired. If I press this connection to this terminal, you will always get the sound no matter whether the button is pressed or not. If I put it on the other side here, no sound until I press the button. That's the goal. So this is a simple way to set this up so that you know which terminal is which if you didn't know or you lost the instructions or whatever the case was. All right, so let's go ahead and solder these leads onto the button and solder this together, and then we can test fit it inside the project. All right, let's see if we did it correctly. Looks like we're golden. The last step here is to attach the button on the inside. Now, I did already put it in there. I just used a little super glue on all 4 corners of the button, but that's just to hold it in place. The super glue would probably not be strong enough over time. I'm going to use hot glue in here and coat all around it, including the wires. Okay, we're all ready to go. We're nice and dry on the inside. It's time to pop this stuff together and see if everything fits. This held up really nice. The epoxy's holding really good. So now we can try not to pinch our wires in there. Give it a turn. Looks good. All right, so I think we can call this a finished prop. Let's get a closer look at it. Okay, I guess we can test this out. Let's see if we can call a droid. Okay, geeks, that's our build. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll be back on the 25th of May with weekly videos. Yeah, weekly ones, that's what I said. Okay, geeks, that's our build. I choked on spit.